Okay, hello and welcome to my first time for entertaining trolls. So, if there are any trolls in the chat, you are welcome to bring your questions. We do have a couple of ground rules. We'd like to keep it polite. So, you may ask any question you like. Nothing is off the table, but please try to keep from insulting people. And do not threaten people. If you threaten someone, you will be asked to leave or you'll be put out. But as long as you're not threatening and as long as you're being polite, you may ask anything you like and we will answer it. Let's start by introducing our panel. Chris, I'll let you go first. So why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Chris. I'm also known as the Atheist Pastor. My channel is Atheist Pastor /Hereticals. Look, I'm a former Christian leader who read the Bible and deconverted, and now I'm trying to undo all the, all the bad I did as a Christian leader by helping people who are coming out of religion. And certainly, I don't mind doing things like this because as I was studying in Christian leadership, I did a Bachelor of Ministry and Theology. I didn't complete them, but I studied a Bachelor of Ministry and Theology, and I'm currently undertaking history studies with the plan on doing a PhD in that. So if anyone's got any historical questions that they want to throw out there on the Christian side, or any questions there or anything they want clarified, I'm more than happy to answer. Anyone who just wants to troll and be a bit of a pain in the backside, I will treat you accordingly.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Junkshop, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself?
Hi, well, I'm Junkshop. My channel is Junkshop Library. We have an atheist / humanist-centered Bible study that I run with a focus on interpretation and historical background. I myself was raised by a Protestant minister who was had an extensive background in hard biblical scholarship, and I absorbed a great deal of that along the way, along with just a whole bunch of the text itself. And I try to bring that out into the light and show the text for the bothersome old piece of rubbish that it is.
Okay, and I'd like to say hello to some of the people in the chat as well. Hello to Trans Atheist, who is a friend of mine from Twitter. Welcome, Alexis, and welcome, Aaron. Aaron is also a friend from Twitter. And welcome to Mama Atheist and Mr. Shadow Kitty and Lydia Bessie and Julie and Robin. And did I miss anybody? Did I get everybody that's here? Welcome to everyone.
Just quickly, I just want a quick shout out to Mama Atheist. Mama Atheist is at home recovering, having had surgery earlier today. So, good surgery. So, to assist with some pain that she's been going through, and I just I just want to say I hope you're feeling a hell of a lot better. I know she said that she was in a bit of pain still, and I just hope that she's got her feet up and she's recovering, and hopefully we don't make her laugh too much today, because I don't know if laughing will be good for her. But if we do, I'll apologize in advance.
Okay, and welcome to Lissy. Lissy has arrived, and we have our first question from the chat. The question is, can you magically fix my headache?
Well, before I was a Christian, I studied Reiki, so I guess I can either pray for you or I can try some over the internet Reiki. Neither of them work, but it could placebo effect.
Robin is actually my child, if you didn't know.
Excellent. Well, in that case, we'll definitely pray for her. I'll bring the old pastor back, and we'll channel that inner energy, and we'll the Lord's name. So yeah, all fun. And just so everyone knows, Lissy Lou in the chat, I love you, darling. That's my wife.
Oh, cool. Cool. Yeah, I guess I did. I learned that the other day when I was watching a stream, and I hadn't realized that before. And
Oh,
I
yeah,
didn't realize.
you were on with it, weren't you?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's right. That's cool. Very
While
cool.
we're doing brief shout outs, I want to do a brief shout out to Alexis. Alexis is someone I count as a dear friend, and this is the first time, at least to my knowledge, that we've been sharing the same time space coordinates. So it's good. It's good to be here with you, dear.
And I did not realize that Lydia Bessie is Alexis's sister. I have communicated with Lydia on Twitter before, and Lydia Bessie, I used one of her comments as the comment of the day in one of my videos one time.
That works.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
That works. So you've obviously had a couple of trolls hitting you lately, haven't you, Granny?
I had a number of them in my birthday stream. And one of my guests in my birthday stream was Godless Engineer. And he said most of the trolls came because of him, which I believe because I had never seen any of them before. And he sees them regularly.
Yes, unfortunately, they tend to follow around and go into little groups. I actually had Darth Dawkins yesterday in a chat. That was a lot of fun. Darth. Darth. I thought Darth was running away from me for a while because of our debate. It's every time I showed up in anything, he suddenly disappeared. But he's using we've discovered a new fake name he's been using, and a little bit of deception from old Darth. Who I question if Darth's actually a Christian because the way he acts is very. I don't know. It's more Old Testament than New Testament. I'll put it that way. So. A few questions there, but it's some of the rhetoric. It's like they all get the same script and they all read from the same script, and it's just all the same stuff, and it's just so repetitive. They need to if they don't have any better apologetics, if they don't have anything better, maybe they need to reconsider their beliefs. Maybe they need to reconsider their faith, and maybe they need to actually read their Bible. Reading the Bible is great. I encourage everyone. Everyone should read the Bible because if you want to ever make a nation of or a world of non-believers, get them to read the Bible, and not just the fluffy bits, not just the let's all be nice and love each other. Let's go Old Testament, Let's get into some of those how to conquer and pillage your way through ancient Judea and Palestine. Let's get it all out there. It's they tend to avoid that, but so I know that my troll factor's been up a little bit lately. So isn't it funny? You call them out and you say, "Come on, trolls, here we are, we're ready for you," and they don't come. They don't come. Gutless wonders. All of them. They come into streams where we're having conversation about other issues. Yesterday we were talking about historicity in the stream I was in, and we were actually talking about comparing Alexander the Great to all the existence of Alexander the Great to the existence of Jesus, which is it's ancient history is something I know a little bit about. And that's when Darth Dawkins decides that he wants to show. No, we're not talking about anything to do with proving the Bible. We're literally talking about historical figures, and that's when they show up. So what I find is these trolls, they tend to try and interrupt the streams that have nothing to do with what they want to talk about, because they know that we're just going to go away and we'll talk about it another time, and then they can go, the atheists are too afraid to talk to me, because that's the way they operate. They're gutless wonders. So if any of you are there, grow a set and bring it on.
Now's your time.
Have you seen Cosmic Skeptic's new video where he talks about a debate he had with a Islamic guy? I don't remember his name, but the debate happened quite a while ago, and the guy they had control of the footage. And they spliced in a piece because he misquoted the Quran, and so he corrects himself in this piece of footage that they added to it. They won't let Cosmic Skeptic even have the footage to put up on his channel, and he's got Muslims coming after him saying, "Why won't you post it? You were so thoroughly debunked on that debate that you won't post it." I won't post it because they won't let me have it.
Yeah, see, it's it's up on another channel, is it?
Yeah. Aaron has just.
I would just download it and upload it anyway. To hell with them.
Yeah.
It's if you're in it, you're not going to get copyright struck for something that you're appearing in. So I just download it and do it. But that just goes to show. I mean, when people are editing and splicing things, that to me says that they know that they lost the argument. So they've got to cheat to win. I mean, it's not really winning if you're dishonest in the way you're doing it. If you need to be dishonest to prove the existence of your particular deity, which in their case is the moon god of the Arabs, well, hey, maybe you need to reconsider your beliefs. Once again, reconsider what you're believing. It's look into it. It's I mean, look, when I was going through my journey in Christian leadership, there were a lot of things that I was uncomfortable with, and I looked into them, and that's what sort of led me down the rabbit hole. And I tried to do some mental backflips and things like that, and a bit of gymnastics to sort of justify and squeeze a few things in. But ultimately, you've got to take that on its position. Now, for me, it would have been a hell of a lot easier for me to stay in Christian leadership. I was in, I guess, what you'd call not mega church, but the mega church movement. I was rising reasonably fast. I probably would have had a very, very comfortable life, a very comfortable career, had I have stuck with it. But you've got to be honest. And that's the thing, is if you can't be honest about your beliefs, then really you need to reevaluate them. Or even if, let's throw it out there and say, let's imagine for a second that that Allah, the moon god of the Arabs, is the one true God out of all of them. If there's something that isn't working, or you've got to do backflips, then maybe you're misinterpreting it and you're not actually following it correctly, which is probably going to upset your God more than anything if you're not following it correctly. So look into it, read it, study it, and if you can't justify it, then you need to look at something else, because you don't want to be wrong. If you have got it wrong with this particular deity, or the deity that is there, you don't want to mess around. Because, I mean, I've read what Muslim hell's like. I've read what Christian hell's like. They're not nice places. Why would you want to go there? Get it right. Study it. And then we'll see you in the atheist community.
Although I must just be extremely slow, because I read it through. It's funny because I was not raised Christian. And when I first became a Christian at 16, I heard people quoting Bible verses, and I assumed everybody else knew the Bible and I didn't. So because of that, I quickly pulled out my Bible and read the whole thing cover to cover. And the only thing I didn't read the first time through completely was the Psalms, because after I got through about the 20th one, I said, these are too repetitive. It's just the same thing over and over. I need to at least get the basics here. So I skipped the rest of the Psalms and finished the Bible, but I read the whole thing. And then when I finished it, I was like, oh my gosh, when I would bring up something from the Bible and I never read that part. I never read that. And I was like, oh my gosh, these people really don't know the Bible. And I suddenly discovered I knew it better than they did. But I stuck with it for 42 years. It took me a long time to come out of it. The only question that really bugged me the whole time I was a Christian was the canon. And I think, I asked every pastor I had, which was a lot. I've had a lot of pastors, and I shouldn't say everyone, but I've asked a number of pastors, how did we get the canon? And most of them just blew me off. They would find one reason or another they wouldn't answer the question.
That's because most of them don't know it. What baffled me in going through and studying in leadership was how many Christians don't actually know. And Disney is canon, and so is the Marvel comics. I'm just going to clarify that. I know it's a sore point for Badger, but we disagree on that one.
Who's really going to have a fight?
Well, that's okay. It's that comment could be the closest thing to a troll I get all day. So it's we've got to go with it. But yeah, there's so many people in leadership and pastors in particular who because what happens in Christian churches nowadays is it's all very much New Testament focused, with some of the Psalms and some of the nice, happy, fluffy bits in there that it's not really authentic in what the religion is. So, I'd be talking to, and because I've got a clear interest in history and I study it and have the background, where I'm, like I said, I'm planning on doing a PhD. I always got into it, and I always really like to dig in. And the amount of conversations I'd have with pastors and leaders, and even people who were my professors at Bible college. It was a university, but Bible college, really. That didn't know or didn't have a base understanding outside of the fluffy bits. It's baffling. I mean, most Christian leaders probably wouldn't know how the canon was formed. They'd just tell you it was God inspired, as they wouldn't even know what the Council of Nicaea was. And that's scary. It's even the amount of because when I left the church, all of a sudden, a couple of things happened. I had the people who just shunned me, and that was the end of me. I was the worst person in the world. How could I do such a horrible thing to them? And then I had the ones who thought, we're going to we'll bring him back in. What a big scalp to get. And I've got an open policy. Anyone wants to try and reconvert me, I'm happy to have the conversation with them, so long as it's a conversation. But the amount that I'll say, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? And they kind of give you that blank look of, what are you talking about? And it's normally either followed by, I'll look into that, or that's just the devil. I don't want to. No, I'm out. It's amazing.
Okay.
But anyway, sorry, that's my rant. I'm just trying to fill time until we get a troll. I really want a troll.
Well, I also used that time. I was happy that you were talking for a bit because I sent a link to Badger, and if Badger wants to join the stream, I'll add him in. But if Badger is busy or is otherwise occupied, and I certainly understand that as well. And the only reason I didn't invite Badger in the first place is I know that this isn't the best time of day for him.
No, well, I think it's about midnight over in the UK.
Yeah.
One in the morning.
Like midnight or 2:00 in the morning there.
Oh, no, horrible. Who likes that? I think I'm the only sucker who does streams at that time, but it's it's the only time I can get all you Americans.
Well, Jen seems to go just about any. I see her any time of day or night.
Well, see, Jen's lucky.
Dave, she doesn't sleep.
Well, you see, where Jen's lucky is she's in her time zone's 3 hours different to mine. So she's West Coast, I'm East Coast of Australia. So for her, so it's 11 in the morning, or a bit after, 11:15 in the morning for me now. It's about 8:15. But that being said, I have seen her in a chat already. So she's doing a bit of running around at the moment. But now I'm wondering if she sleeps.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I was wondering that too.
She could be evidence of vampires. I don't know.
Badger, I certainly understand that he says it's 2 a.m. there and he's less than coherent. And I certainly totally get that, which is why I didn't invite you in the first place, because I knew that this was not a good time for you. So yeah, you are welcome to listen in, and please feel free to go to bed when you need to. But Melissa has an interesting comment here. She says, when she lost her faith, she wanted it back and asked her pastor and other pastors to help her realize it was true. And they all said to pray for faith. And
that's such a weak answer. It's like, you've just got to pray. And you hear that so often. You just got to pray. You just got to pray. I had people who said, can we pray for you to come back to the faith? I said, you can do whatever you want, but wouldn't it be better to have a conversation?
And that answer is so toxic, because it puts all of the onus on the person who's already having a crisis of faith to begin with. And if you're already beating yourself up for not having faith, and the people who are supposed to be there to guide you and help you in your spiritual journey say, well, ask the man in the sky to give you more faith. I can't be of any assistance to you. It puts an entire burden on someone who's already struggling terribly to begin with, and it's just downright unpleasant. It's bordering on mean.
Well, it is mean, and it's a complete cop-out, because what happens at the end of the day when those people don't come back to the faith, it's just you didn't pray, you didn't want it enough, it's the devil working in your life. It's never the fact that you had a
secret sin on your heart.
Exactly, it's you were doing this, or you were doing that, or you just want to sin, or you just hate God. Yeah, it's all the usual crap that comes out. Rather than just answer the question. Sorry.
I was just going to say, Junkshop, we can't hear you all that well. Any chance you could get closer to your mic?
Let me try this,
Oh,
and
much
you tell
better.
and you tell me.
We got you.
That is much better.
Just
Now,
that there.
thing,
that's just me
Yeah.
speaking up.
Ah, okay.
that works too. That works too.
Okay. So I'm not actually in the microphone. I just need to project a little bit more for the camera. I can do that.
Excellent. That's what we like to hear. I was just going to quickly say to you all as well, and just so anyone in the chat knows, if it seems at any time like I'm talking over people or they're talking over me, what it is there's actually, because I'm on the other side of the planet, there's a slight delay. So I could start talking, someone starts talking 2 seconds later, and then it seems as to each other as if we're talking over each other. So if that happens, I'll apologize in advance, but it is the time delay. So I have to kind of give that as a disclaimer, because I've discovered that it's a problem when, I guess, you're in the southern hemisphere on the other side of the Pacific Ocean.
Mm-hmm.
These things happen. Yeah.
They do. That's if Australia is real. I mean, it could be a big conspiracy, don't forget.
Mama Atheist, would you like to jump in, or are you in too much pain and need to convalesce?
I'm gonna block Mama Atheist from jumping in because she needs to rest and relax.
Okay, no problem.
So I love you, Manda, but no, because she'll probably do it because she's the kind of person who likes to be there for everyone else. She needs to. I'm putting my foot. I'm her Aussie husband, so I can get away with that.
Okay, that sounds good.
Those feet needs to go up. But yeah, she's it's good. I'm really glad that she got the had the surgery done today. Oh, I'm not glad that she's in pain afterwards, of course, but it's good. It's some surgery that she's needed, and she's been fighting insurance companies for a long time. And yeah, and she's right. She has said that I'm not a real atheist. I just hide my love of God in order to sin. Yep, I can't argue that. And Bad Tempered Badger saying that I'm a fake. I'm a government hologram with a faulty voice box made by Obama. That's we almost got away with it. We almost got away with it.
So close, and you've been caught out here on this screen.
And you know what? Just for that, I'm going to take the hologram of the moon down from over where you are now, just to prove a point.
The thing that I get from Christians almost all the time is that couldn't possibly have been a real Christian. You were never a real believer. And I usually send them a link to my first video ever, which is why I walked away from 42 years of faith. And someday I'm going to have to redo that, because I had no clue what, that's my first video. I didn't know what I was doing. And so the production, you can see that the production is not very good. But it does tell you that I was telling Junkshop before you came in, Chris, that between the two of us, we've done everything that you can do in a church. I have taught Sunday school. I've sang in the choir. I've been on the board. I helped found a church. I've done missionary journeys. I've done everything except be a pastor. I've never been a pastor.
You haven't missed anything. If it helps, I'll let you in a little secret. I never got ordained, so I was never a pastor either.
Oh, okay.
So I'm cheating a bit. It's the reason I've got the name Atheist Pastor, just so there's no confusion, because I know people do sort of say, well, you were never a pastor. Everyone used to prophesy over me that I was going to be a pastor. So that every time any traveling person came, it was always, I think I must have been pointed out every time, and it'll come and say, I can see that you're going to be a pastor. And look, it's, I guess, because I like the sound of my own voice and I can carry a conversation, that apparently qualifies you to be a pastor in some churches. But so I didn't want to let, when I deconverted, and because I had been on the journey to become a pastor and was studying, I didn't want to let everyone down. And I thought, well, you know what, if I'm going to be, I will be a pastor. I'm going to let that prophecy come true. I'm just going to be the atheist pastor. And
we have someone new in the chat that I don't know. Shayless Darkley, am I saying that right? That's someone I don't recognize, but hello and welcome.
And Randy's here. Hey, Randy. just got here.
Randy, KCA Randy?
ACA
Ah,
Randy.
there he is.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I can't see the chat, so I'm just flying blind. So
Well, it did. I couldn't see it until after he said it. But yeah, welcome, Randy, and welcome, James Wells.
It seems to be, you know, the only thing we're missing is a troll. I mean,
Yes, I know.
troll, they'd have a captive audience. I know.
And
It's
I sent out specific invitations to 2 of them.
even Darth Dawkins. Where's Darth? I mean, come on, Darth. I mean,
the one time we actually want the whoop to show up, and he was nowhere to be found.
I know. Well, I've actually heard if you say their name 3 times, they magically appear.
Do you have to look in the mirror?
Well, I've got a camera in front of me, so does that count? I can see myself. I said I've got a camera in front of me, so I can see myself. Does that help?
It's a black mirror.
That's right. Darth Dawkins, Darth Dawkins, Darth Dawkins. It's sad. It's sad. I never thought I'd see the day where I was pining for Darth Dawkins to show up, but they only show up when they know that they can interrupt and you know, basically be a pest, and yeah, they're gutless. They're gutless. But that's okay.
If we had named the stream the Atheist Echo Chamber, then they would have shown up.
Mm. Or you know, maybe we could have called it, you know, moral support for dealing with you know, trolls, something like that, where we're all talking about, you know, we're talking about it. So we're coming for you now. We're going to get you while you're down, and then we can, you know, we'll see what happens. But no, they're all. And that's the thing. See, I love having conversations with Christians who are genuine. And yesterday, Taylor James, Pastor Taylor James, he was actually on the stream and that I was on, that Darth tried to interrupt. And we had a great conversation. Now, I'm not going to convert him. He's not going to convert me. And that's fine. But we're able to have a conversation where we understood each other's point of view. And at the end of the day, if we can all get where we're coming from, that's a good thing. So I've got no problem. If people want to be religious, be a Christian, you know, I understand. And I've seen where the churches can do good for people. I've seen where the churches can do a hell of a lot of bad for people. But it's not all. I think most people who are in churches are genuinely good people who just really believe something that I believe isn't true. And that's fine. But it's when they start to try and impose their religious belief and rules based on their religion onto the rest of us, or, you know, it's do things like try and put religion in schools, you know, try and scare children with it. That's where I really, really have an issue. And I guess I think that's what we all fight against. You know, we're not here to crush religion forever. I don't think that would be a bad thing, but people can believe what they want. It's the attitude of the trolls that we really take issue with. So if any of you are wanting to have a genuine discussion as well, we're happy to have a genuine discussion, answer any questions. I know a lot of people misunderstand things about atheists because of the way that atheists are portrayed. We're here for that. If you want to troll, we'll play the game. We don't care. That's fun. We'll treat you the way that you treat us. You know, we will do unto others as they will do unto us. So. But I think we are in the atheist echo chamber here, unfortunately. Unfortunately,
well, there is one point that I don't exactly agree with you on, Chris, and that is, I don't think that even the polite true believers are necessarily harmless, and here's why. Because, you know, that's where I was. I was not in a cult. I wasn't Jehovah's Witness or anything like that. But the damage that I suffered was just from the mainstream teaching. And I bought it hook, line, and sinker. And 15 years ago, I went through a period of about 10 years that were the worst years of my life. I call them the dark years. Mm-hmm. And I can't share a whole lot about them because of certain people. But I can say that the only reason I stayed in my marriage through them is because the Bible told me I could not leave my husband. And there's one verse in particular that's in Corinthians that I wanted to tear out of the Bible so badly. And I went to other Christian leaders and I said, does this really mean what it says? And they all said, yeah, that's what it means. You got to do that. And that's why I'm ace. If you can figure it out from there. And so I think, just being in it is bad enough.
No, and I don't disagree with you there. Probably for me, I guess, I don't think people in the churches are necessarily bad. I think they're misguided. I know that when I was in the church, I probably gave people advice that I wouldn't give them now. I might have given you different advice in your situation though, but I was fairly practical, or I used to think I was fairly practical when it came to a lot of these things. But that being said, other leaders in my church were different. Everything I did was always with good intent. And I always thought it was right. Even, when I was giving, I guess people advice that I certainly wouldn't now, it was because I believed it was the best thing for them, whether that was in a practical sense or a spiritual sense. And I fully understand that I was brainwashed, and religion does brainwash. Look, I have seen some people who have possibly benefited from religion, and I say that very carefully. I remember one person in particular who he had a fairly extensive drug problem, and he got brought in by a friend who was with the church, and he ended up becoming very much a born again Christian, and he managed to kick that drug problem, and I can see a benefit there. Now he attributes that to God, but realistically it's his own willpower and potentially a bit of a placebo effect. But had he not have had that, and there was a lot of people who gave him support, and even when he was still basically people would invite him over and he'd be trying to steal things, and but he came through it, and he came through it well. So I don't mind giving credit there. And look, I guess there's churches and there's churches, but ultimately religion does a lot more damage than it does good. And that's especially prevalent in modern society, because what you've got to remember is, I guess if we look at the main world religions, so Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism, they're all based off writings that are at least 1,500 years old. And they're from a time where misogyny ran rampant. There was no basic understanding of science, and things like LGBTQ issues they weren't understood, and they were seen as unnatural, and it's that attitude has carried on through these books into modern time, where realistically, I guess the progressive world is moving on from them. But then you have people who will be stuck in situations, where their parents won't speak to them because they've left religion, they don't believe in the deity, or because they've come out for whatever reason, and that is where religion really, really does a lot of harm.
That's my perspective. I refer to myself as an atheist, in the colloquial sense. I don't like getting bogged down in the atheist, agnostic, the hard atheist, soft atheist. What is an atheist? I don't give a crap about that whole debate. If push comes to shove, I refer to myself as a humanist and as an anti-Christian. And I put it that way because there are plenty of people out there fighting Islam. There are plenty of people out there reforming Judaism. Now, plenty of people out there acting against Christianity, but that is the one I was raised in. That's the religion that traumatized me to my core. That is the religion it took me, that I'm still in some ways trying to break free from the influence of. And that's the one I want to see go down. That's the one that I want to dance on the ashes of. I know it's not going to happen in my lifetime. It's probably not going to happen in any of our children's lifetimes or grandchildren's lifetimes. But someday it will fall. And the world will be better for it.
It'll be like the Greek pantheon. It'll just be an afterthought. It'll be something that's studied from a historical perspective of it was something. And I get that, it's especially in the United States, and I've learned this from dealing with, I guess there's so many Americans I speak to on a regular basis now. It absolutely shocks and scares me how entrenched religion is in the United States. It's the biggest Christian theocracy I've ever seen. And I guess I'm lucky here where, look, 10% of people in my country are church-going Christians, and realistically, half of them are probably real Christians. So there's still too much influence, and that's something that we do need to work on. And there's a lot of people who will nominally call themselves, Catholic or Anglican, and that's something that's being, slowly gotten rid of. But in America, it's the way that religion is entrenched in just the fact. I mean, I've got people in communities who, like I speak to, who live in communities that are supposedly decent, nice communities, but because they're an atheist, they're shunned. They're shunned by the entire town. They struggle to get work. They're parents of other children don't like, their children playing with each other because of the horrible influence, and that's all just because they say, well, I don't believe what you believe. That, to me, that is a big problem. I mean, we look at the issues in the Middle East, and okay, so we look at the influence that Islam has in the Middle East. It's different, but I don't think America's much better in some places, and that really that makes me sad, because I guess American culture is something that's so ingrained into my society. I mean, most of the TV shows we watch, there's a lot of American content out there. It's the music. We've got a very close relationship with America. But when it comes to this, there's such a difference, and it's been quite eye-opening for me to watch and see what's going on in the US. And I hope it's something that will change. And I guess I would only encourage both of you and everyone in the chat who is from the US, just keep doing it. I can't even imagine how hard it is for you all, because I mean, I got doxxed, and I involved in politics, and I thought that was going to cause me issues, and no one actually cared. Whereas if that was in the US, I would be a pariah, and I get that. That would be the end of any political thoughts I'd ever had. That done, gone. But what? It's easy for me to encourage you all to keep going, because I'm not in the position that you all are in, and I do think there is a bit of a dangerous position that people in America are in. I guess any support we can give you, we'll do from afar, but keep doing it. The only way you're going to get that change is just to keep standing up, keep being yourselves, keep being true to who you are, what you believe, and let people know who are stuck in religion it's okay to come out as being an atheist. There is a community here that's going to love you and support you. Yeah, it's going to be tough, but there's people from all around the globe who are just going to grab you, embrace you, and love you. And I think that's what we've got to we've got to make sure people know that.
That's the biggest thing that I have found since becoming an atheist is I, thought that missing the Christian community would be the biggest thing. Nope. I've got more friends in the atheist community than I ever did in the Christian community.
Better friends.
Yes, much better friends. Christian friends are only friends on Sunday. The rest of the week they don't give a hoot.
Oh, I don't miss the small talk conversation. Hi, how are you? Oh, how's your week? Okay. Oh, that's no good. Oh, well, I'll pray for you. I do not miss those conversations. I absolutely I hated them at the time. Even I certainly don't miss them now. It's nice because I feel that even with people who are strangers in the community. I know we've spoken a few times, Granny. I think this is the first time I've been on with you, Junkshop. I think this is the first time we've spoken. But I feel comfortable that we can have a proper conversation. We can have an open conversation. I'm not hiding and holding back anything. You're not hiding and holding back anything. It's just we can be fairly genuine with each other. There's none of that pretense. I mean, at the end of the day, people in the community are going to have disagreements, and not everyone likes everyone, and that's okay. That's communities, but at least we can all be open with each other. I feel that being out in the atheist community, I can be myself. I can be my true self. I don't have to put on the Christian mask or the armor of God or any of that crap, and that's what I love about our community. So I guess it's one thing I will say: if there's anyone who is Christian who isn't active in the chat or maybe is watching this in the future, like any of us, you can reach out to any of us, and even people in the chat, just you will be embraced by this community. I know it's a very lonely place, and I remember when I left Christianity, it was what I do, and I lost a sense of community. And then I actually met I don't know if I assume you're all familiar with Navadia. I met Navadia online, and she opened up this wonderful community for me, and something I'll be eternally grateful to her for doing, because the people I've met, the friendships I've had, I tell you what, I wish I had done it years earlier, because I had years where I didn't know all you wonderful people, and I wish I had have. So, and I'm looking forward to meeting the new people who are still going to come in. Because we've got a great community, and we've got a loving and caring community.
Yep.
That even the trolls can't get rid of.
And we can't even get the trolls to come.
We are so strong in our community that the trolls fear us now.
Yes.
Anti. Oh dear, that's all right. It's
They must have all gone to Shannon's.
That's all right. If the trolls want to show up, and if they're brave enough to, we'll deal with them. If not, you know what? How nice is it just to have a chat amongst ourselves?
Yes. And that's exactly what I was thinking, is that if they didn't show up, we would just talk.
Exactly. We're not dependent on them to come in. I mean, look, I find them entertaining. I'll be honest. I really do find them some of them entertaining. Some of them are just complete downright douchebags. But
most of them amuse me.
Oh yeah, there's some that you see, and it's funny. There's times I wish I could play a drinking game, because you'll see the first argument come in, and you go, all right, I'm going to answer it this way because then they're going to say this. You just know that it's just going to keep going down this path, and it's. I almost get happy when they do it. It's yesterday when the mythicism thing came up, and I said, well, yeah, there's a complete lack of evidence for the existence of Jesus, which is always a fun one, and it just the pastor who I was speaking to, who was a real nice guy actually. He's gone down the path of Alexander the Great, which is the go-to for Christians when they say, oh, okay, well, what about, do you believe in the existence of Alexander the Great? And then they go along the lines of there's no evidence for Alexander the Great. Unfortunately for them, they're dealing with someone who studies history and has just recently written a paper on Alexander the Great. So I actually do know the evidence. But it was good. I was able to have that conversation, and I don't know if he'll use that. Well, I don't think he'd use that one against me again. Maybe if he's honest, and I think he was honest. I don't think he'll actually use that argument again. But it's almost like clockwork. Every time that comes up, it's like, here it is, here it is, here it is. It's just straight down the Alexander the Great path, and which is good, because I guess if we know what their arguments are, we know our, I guess, counter apologetics straight away. So, and yeah, like Randy said, there's coins with Alexander the Great's head on them. We know that the Greek armies definitely went and conquered massive portions of the area that's claimed Alexander was in, because everyone all of a sudden started speaking Greek, and I'm assuming it's not because they just woke up and felt like changing languages.
Yeah.
And there's cultures that are separated that speak of him, and there's a few fluffy things in them, like it's the Celts claim that Alexander the Great came to them. No, the Celts. Sorry, Celts, it didn't happen. But, and there's the divine inspiration, and it's that he was half the son of Zeus and all this kind of stuff, and was a god himself. So we can kind of sift through that stuff. But it's always interesting. I always enjoy some of the conversations when they're honest conversations. When it's just the Darth Dawkins who just want to shout and go down the presuppositionalist script. I mean, you can have fun with that too. I told Darth Dawkins I'd converted to Hinduism, prove me wrong. That was a hell of a lot of fun. There's a lot of fun that we can have with these trolls. It's just they don't want to come.
Yeah. Oh well.
That's okay.
I found that most of mine. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was curious about Melissa. Melissa mentioned having trouble in her area with being in an extreme minority. And Melissa, if it's safe for you to say, what state do you live in? Yeah, and Robin, I don't know how to do that. I've got the iPad in front of me and I'm trying to give Randy a wrench and I can't figure out how to do that. I don't know where to go.
I think it's hard on the iPad. If you're doing it on a computer, if you hover over the comment, you'll see the 3 dots. You click on the
dot. I do that and it's not there. My only choices are put user in timeout or block user. And Robin,
don't block Randy. Randy's fine.
Well, I wanted to let Randy put up a link to the thing he was talking about, and that's why I was trying to give Randy a wrench.
Well, I think anyone else who...
That's all right, Robin. We'll get it another time. Robin doesn't want to put on clothes to come down and help with this.
I respect that.
You know what? I'm jealous. I'm truly, truly jealous.
Well, we wouldn't know whether or not you had pants on.
Yeah, I'm not standing up. You don't want me to stand up. No one streams with pants on. That's the rules,
But you might want to show me how to do it so I don't have to call you next time.
Yeah, I thought I did last time.
No, you just showed me that you do it on the iPad.
All right, don't turn the camera just in case we don't want to get the stream pulled.
This guy, right?
Yeah. Oh, I couldn't get the stream up. That was my problem.
And moderator.
Okay, I couldn't find the stream. Woo! Well, that was the problem. I didn't have the stream.
All right.
Okay.
Randy has a wrench.
Okay.
So actually, that'd make a good kid story. You could do that. Randy has a wrench.
Robin came down. Robin put on some clothes and came down and helped me. Showed me how to do that. The problem was I wasn't able to find the stream on the iPad. But I do not know why the 3 dots do not give me that option on my computer. But it doesn't.
If you're doing it through StreamYard, that's why. Because it's through StreamYard, it's not through YouTube. So StreamYard, you can't add the moderator. All you can do is you can do the block through StreamYard. But that's
okay, so I should have gone over onto the YouTube and then I would have been able to do it. Okay, yep. Gotcha. Thanks. Now I know how to do it for next time.
There we are. So it's all good. We've got the wrench. So what was Randy posting?
He was talking about a gosh, see if I can remember. I don't remember now, but he was talking about something and it sounded interesting, and so I wanted him to be able to post a link to it.
Yeah, cool.
Okay, Melissa says that she is in California, and she says there are weirdly religious parts of California, and I'm in one, but I can't move and get by without dozens of family members. I totally get that. I mean, Jim Jones, his cult started in California too. So there are some small pockets of real nuts in California.
Yeah, I've heard that actually. It's for what is, a reasonably liberal state. It's a few strange backwaters I've heard, but the main thing is, look, I guess the most important thing is you've always got to be safe. And I always say to people, if you need to fake it and go to church and pretend you're a Christian, do it. If that keeps you safe and that's the best option for you, do it, because there's still an online community here that you can converse with and you can, I guess, evaluate and stress, and we're all here. When you need to scream, come and scream at us. So
we have the same issue with politics in this area. During the last presidential election, I wanted to put up a yard sign for Hillary because I certainly didn't want Trump. And my husband was afraid that if I put a Hillary sign in front of the yard, in the yard, that someone would come and egg the house.
So, seeing the way that all of you Americans act over politics, I'd be afraid to put any sign in the front.
Yeah,
it is so. It's like American politics is so tribal, and it's almost like a religious. If you're one side or the other, it's sort of. It
didn't used to be that way.
No. It's. I think it's the media is probably to blame. I think the media, what they tend to do is they tend to take the extreme elements of each, and that's what they show. I like to believe that 90% of people, whatever way they lean politically, are sensible. It's just that 10% that really, carry on and cause all the issues, and that's what you see on the news. And because it's such a tribal thing, if you're on one side of politics and you're only seeing the nut jobs on the other, you think everyone on the other side is a nut job, regardless of which way it goes. And unfortunately, what that means is you don't get the best politicians. I you've had. I compare. I guess the quality of politician you've got in the States to the quality of leaders of other countries and things around the world. There's a vast difference. I love America, but you guys got a lot to sort out.
I recently asked if we could move to Australia.
Sorry?
I said I recently asked if we could move to Australia.
Absolutely. We've got plenty of room here. So it's and we've got free healthcare.
Yes.
Come get the free healthcare. Go to the doctor for free.
We have 2 new people in the chat. Ricardo Oliveira has arrived, and Screeches in Revolution.
That's an awesome name. I don't know that person, but that's an awesome name.
That is pretty cool. That's and was just playing in and it has Pikachu as an avatar. So there's respect there. Ricardo, I think I've seen Ricardo in other chats before. So
that name sounds vaguely familiar.
Okay, Screeches is Matt. I knew Screeches was one of Robin's friends, but I wasn't sure if Screeches was Matt or if Screeches was Alyssa, but Screeches is Matt. Matt is a very special person because he's the one that drew my avatar. He's my artist.
Cool, yeah.
Okay, fantastic.
So not only is Matt a good artist, Matt also has a really cool handle, has Pikachu there, and just seems like a cool person all around. So great to meet you.
And Ricardo says, "Oh, great, I have a rep."
Ricardo, you're memorable. That's what we'll say. If we're recognizing the name, it can only be a good thing. It can only be a good thing. So take it as a win. But there we go. So a lot of love for Matt. So Matt's loved.
Yes. I have a new video that I'm going to be releasing soon. I uploaded it to Patreon a couple hours ago, and it is a response to Steve Anderson's Mother's Day sermon.
Oh gosh.
Oh, that'll be interesting. That can only be love and Christian caring and compassion from Stephen.
Yep. The title of my video is Misogyny for Mother's Day.
I'm gonna.
The only thing I haven't decided yet is when I want to premiere it.
I often wonder with some of these preachers if they're actually serious or if they're just taking the piss for views.
That is one of the things that I talk about in the video is, he is an insignificant person. He's got a 300 person congregation, but
I believe
he
in
has
him.
133,000 followers on YouTube.
Mm.
And I think he says all of that stupid stuff just because people find it entertaining to find out what ridiculous thing's going to come out of his mouth next.
I disagree. Hard
Okay.
disagree. I think I grew up around people who said literally the same vile crap day in and day out. And when I see somebody actually doing that on the world stage, I believe it just at a visceral level. I don't think there's a way to get that much theatricality and that much hatred and sustain it over any period of time if you don't believe it. Nobody is that good an actor. Stephen Anderson creeps me out down to my bones, gives me flashbacks, and I think he's the real deal. I really, really do.
He's one of very few people that if they asked me if I wanted to debate, I would say no to. I love debating, but him, no, not a chance.
I would,
especially not as a woman. Why any woman would want to have anything to do with that misogynistic little homunculus? I'll never know.
See, I do it just so I could insult him. Just really quickly, Bobby Mack.
I would watch that though.
I'd have fun with him. Bobby Mack. Bobby Mack's a good mate of mine. Bobby Mack actually, he appears on my channel. He's my best mate, and he's a flat earther. And he took great pleasure in hearing someone, because I'm a mythicist. He took great pleasure in when someone said that mythicists are just the flat earthers of the atheist community. So he was quite happy to hear that. So
I heard that the other day. That was priceless.
Good to see you, Bobby. I love you, mate. I love you.
He seriously believes the Earth is flat?
Yep.
Or he just says that?
I thought he was having a laugh at first, but no, he's very much into conspiracies, and the way he looks at conspiracies, it's quite unique actually. And so I've actually got him and Jay from the Nevermore Tavern, because Jay's a good conspiracy debunker. So every week what they do is they pick a new conspiracy and they look at it and evaluate it. And it's a really interesting almost study on the way the human brain works to see someone who will believe conspiracies, really believes conspiracies, and someone who doesn't, the way that they have a conversation. It's a really good conversation. It's like it's no shouting. It's just a respectful back and forth, and it's just so interesting. I love it. It's I enjoy having it on the channel because I can just sort of sit back, have a glass of wine, and enjoy, which is all good. But yeah, Bobby he's a bit of a unique flat earther in he's not religious.
Okay.
So he just right into the conspiracy side of things. But I mean, and a lot of people give him stick because of it. But look, he's my best mate, and he's one of the best guys you'd ever want to meet. And I'm catching up with him for a beer over the weekend because we're opening back up. We're opening back up down here, so it's great. We've smashed this thing. We have smashed this virus. It's great. We had, I think, no cases yesterday in my state of 7.5 million people. The day before we had 2 cases, but they were both people who were in quarantine and had come back from overseas. We locked down early. We did as we were told. And
you listened to your scientists?
We listened to our scientists, and when the government said this is going to be hard and we're all in this together, we took that attitude. We didn't storm the Capitol with guns, because we don't have guns. But no guns, free healthcare.
Which is another good reason to move to Australia. Yep.
Exactly. It's you know what, I feel half the time when I'm talking to people, I feel like I'm just basically running a big advert for Australia. But yeah, I love my country. I love where I live. I love and I love America too. It's whenever I say America, you need to sort yourself out. It's because I love you guys. It's when all this is over, I'm actually planning on coming in and doing a decent tour of the US, because there's so many things that are the Smithsonian. It's just I have to get to the Smithsonian in my lifetime. I want to get down and see a rocket launch if there is any. I don't know. We'll see what happens down at Cape Canaveral, Texas. Texas reminds me of Australia, but with religion. So I'd love to get to Texas and talk about that. It's just there's a lot of cool things in America that I'd love to go and see. Even Mount Rushmore, the White House, things like that, because it's things we grow up with. I remember when it was 100 years of federation in Australia in 2001, which was 100 years since we became a nation, and there was an ad going, and it was a really it was quite an important ad because it actually pointed out the fact that most Australian kids don't know who the first Prime Minister of Australia was, but they all knew who the first President of America was. That gives you an idea of how much, or the impact the American culture has on us here in Australia. Look, every American president comes out and says that Australia is America's best friend, and I don't know if they're just playing to the crowd or they're telling us what we want to hear, but we do have that attitude. It's every conflict that America's. I think we're the only nation that has gone into every conflict with America since the Second World War. If you guys go in somewhere, we're there and we've got your back, even if we disagree with it. We have your back, and obviously it's considering where we are in the world, it's nice to know that you guys have our back because you've got a much bigger military than us. So, but it's it really there's some things, and I speak from the heart when I say, like, you guys need to get rid of your guns. You need to get some universal health care, and I say this as someone who is politically not on the left. I'm politically on the right. I'm what you call centre right. It's just it's just some basic human rights that I think really need to get sorted out in the US, because the US could become the greatest nation in the history of the planet. I truly believe that, but there's some things that are really holding back the US, and I'd love to see you guys get it sorted out. It would put a smile on my face.
Put a smile on a lot of faces.
In the meantime, Australia is the best.
I don't know what to make of this comment. Satanic doesn't seem to be a theory. I don't know what that means.
I think it's a bit of a continuation on from some of the stuff last night. He's not. Bobby isn't religious when it comes to religion, but when it comes to the conspiracies, he believes that there are Satanists who influence things, that do believe in devil worshippers and things like that. So he's it's always interesting. He certainly has some interesting. He's got interesting thoughts. I disagree with most of it, but at the same time, when we catch up and have a beer on the weekend, we're probably just going to sit back and talk about our families, talk about everything. But it might come up, but we always have a good time.
See, friends can have opposing views. What?
I know. It's crazy, isn't it?
Mind blowing over here sometimes. People don't understand.
Yeah. Well, it's some of my best friends. I'm politically active. Some of my best friends, even though they love me to death, support the other party. You know what? We all still get along very well. I know they're probably never going to vote for me, and that's cool. Whatever. I don't think they're evil. They don't think I'm evil. We just understand that at the end of the day, we all want what's best for the country, and we just have a different method of seeing it happen. And that's all it is. It's I think it's. I was reading *Sapiens* by Yuval Noah Harari, and I'd recommend that as a book if you want to understand how people think. That is a book to read. And it talks about, it really gets into how we're tribal as a species, and how, when it comes to things like politics, that'll happen. But an analogy I like to bring up is sport. So, let's say, I don't know if who follows sports here, but say we're watching a game together, and you go for one team, I go for the other, and there's a contentious decision. Regardless of who's right or wrong or what's actually happened, I'm always going to say, no, my team is in the right, your team's in the wrong, and your team's cheating, and you'll do the other thing. And people who are wearing the same sporting jersey, all of a sudden you associate with them and you like them. You've got that natural, well, they must be a good person because they think what I think. And it's all part of that tribal thinking. And, I guess that we've developed from an evolutionary standpoint, which is really interesting. And religion's the same. Religion comes into that. It's religion's actually, ironically, helped our species to evolve because it gave us that shared interaction. It gave us that because people believe the same thing, there was that trust and that cooperation that we're able to use. We've gotten to the point where it's no longer useful for our evolution. In fact, it's detrimental to our evolution. But for a while, that actually helped, warring tribal societies be able to form a bond over the same god or the same pantheon of gods and form those communities. So, it's always interesting. Always interesting. But a few other things Bobby said in the chat I disagree with, but I like what he said there. Regardless of views, we should still be able to get on and respect the other person's views and opinions. And you know what? I agree with that. And that's the difference between, I guess, having a conversation with a decent Christian like I did with Pastor Taylor yesterday and a troll like a Darth Dawkins. And that's why I like this. With Bobby and Jay's chats, they're really interesting. And I don't mean to shield my own channel here, but go and watch them because it's so interesting just to see the way that they approach it from completely different angles. They're never, ever going to agree on things. But it's a really interesting, it's just, I don't know, I like it. It's a cool conversation. But I'll stop shilling for my channel now.
It's okay. I'm good with it.
But it does bring up a good point. It is easy to get along. Boomers put that commerce and trade meant more than all the gods. Commerce and trade was a big part of, I guess, how we developed. But it was that, I guess, that common, having that thing in common that led to trust that, helped and assisted that. It's an interesting analogy is if a human were to fight a monkey, good chance the monkey is going to win.
Yes.
But if you have 100 humans fighting 100 monkeys, well, the humans will win because we can actually work together. We can cooperate because that's how we've evolved and that's how we've developed. So it's really interesting. And I'm not an evolutionary scientist. I read an interesting book, so I'm just going to give myself the disclaimer there. Well, he uses many names. Yeah. He uses many names. Yeah. Real Politics is his latest one.
Real Politics?
If you see Real Politics come in, it's even got a bit of a rainbow sort of color to give the impression it might not be the kind of thing Darth Dawkins would be in. It's Darth Dawkins. It is absolutely. I'm going to do a bit of an expose.
Would you say Junkshop?
Sorry, I said we need a spreadsheet to keep track of all of his.
Oh,
damn.
Yeah, it gets a bit like the problem is, I mean, it just goes to show what kind of a coward Darth is. Just continually changing, and Darth is quite literally a troll. Darth isn't serious about changing anyone's opinion. He's not trying to carry out the Great Commission and bring people to Christ. Darth Dawkins is just a troll. I don't even think Darth Dawkins is Christian. Honestly, I'm I've seen some pretty terrible Christians out there. I just think Darth Dawkins is someone with nothing else to do. And next time I'm fortunate enough to have a conversation with Darth, I'm going to tell Darth that. I'm going to say, Darth, you are not a Christian. You do not believe in anything. You make all this up. Come at me, Darth. Come at me when we want you to come at us. I mean, don't just show up when we're talking about something completely different, like Greek history. Come at us. We've invited you in, but gutless, absolutely gutless. Bobby, Hail Satan is actually a really cool thing. It's the Satanic Temple is not satanic. They're actually atheists. They just use the name Satan to really basically troll Christians, actually. So it's, I guess, talking about trolling. But that's funny trolling. That's different. That is actually funny trolling. I loved it when they had the statue of Baphomet that they were getting up on the Arkansas state capitol. I just thought that was wonderful. That I remember watching that for the first time, and I was literally in tears. I had to stop it a few times because I was laughing that much. I didn't want to miss anything. It was just sensational. That's okay. That's interesting. So Roberto, are you still a believer? Where are you at? Because I think this is an important conversation to have. I guess so you're afraid of hell, which is something that's common in believers and non-believers alike. But do you believe in? I guess what do you believe? Where are you at? Let us know, because I think this is a conversation that's probably more important than any other conversation to have right
exactly
now.
Yeah,
and it's a conversation we really want to have. If we can, I guess, help in any way, we would like to do that. Maybe we won't have the answers, but okay. So agnostic, okay. Cool. One thing. Sorry.
What religion were you raised in? Just because that's going to affect some of, was it a real fire and brimstone kind of Protestant church, or was it something a little more cold and ecumenical, or was it Christian at all? I know Muslims have a fairly raging hell doctrine as well. So.
Yeah, it's one thing. When you stop believing, that doesn't always turn off a lot of the Pentecostal fundamentalists. Okay, that's exactly where I was. Okay, cool. So I'm a former Pentecostal as well. It's hard to turn that off, and I remember there was always that fear of, if I'm wrong, there's potentially a hell. What I would say to you is, if there is a God and there is a hell, it would not make sense that a God would create you in a way knowing that you are going to be punished for eternity. The actual doctrine of hell as well isn't something that's necessarily Christian. So what the Bible talks about is, I mentioned things like the gates of Hades, which that refers back to Greek mythology, and isn't necessarily something that's tied into, I guess, the Judeo-Christian religion. With the actual depiction of hell, what it does talk about the devil, the Antichrist, and the false prophet being cast into the lake of fire for an eternal torment. So there is a lot of misquoting and misunderstanding within religion about what hell actually is. Hell is used as a control mechanism, because the thing is, you can always that fear of an eternal punishment in an afterlife is what they use to stop you doing what they don't want in this life, because they know that with people power, that these belief systems, and especially the ancient rulers who used to use them to control, can be overthrown very easily. So I don't know if that offers you any comfort. But the doctrine of hell is something that doesn't actually really fit in with Christianity. It's something that is essentially made up as a control mechanism, but it is something that it isn't easy to get rid of that fear. But what I will tell you is, it does go over time. I knew that I was worried I was going to hell, that I was going to send my family to hell, my friends to hell, that I wasn't going and saving anymore. That it does wane, and eventually you just wake up one day and that fear will be gone. In the meantime, look, there's a community here. If you want to reach out to me on Twitter, I'm atheist_pastor. I'm happy to chat to you anytime, because there is a process, and or even if it's not me, if you feel more comfortable with someone else here, or even people in the chat, we're all here. We're all here as a community, and we're all here for you, because you're part of our community. And we will help you through this as best we can. So please do reach out, and as much as we can help, we will.
Well said. Well said.
Hell doctrine was what was the straw that broke the camel's back for me coming out of religion. I was raised with a very sort of fundamentalist. If you screw up, you're going to the bad place. You'll make Jesus sad, and second, he loves you so much that after you die, if you make him sad, he'll set you on fire for the rest of eternity. It's that kind of love. And I was raised with a great deal of that. I had a very clear picture of hell long before I had a clear picture of heaven. But I was thinking about it one day in my teens, when I was struggling with a lot of doubts about a lot of aspects of religion. And all of a sudden I realized the math didn't add up. Peru. Okay, I don't know what the difference is between fundamentalist teachings in Peru and the southern United States are.
They're pretty similar.
I would imagine them to be pretty similar, but I can't speak from a place of knowledge. But I realize the math doesn't add up. Because what you're looking at is whatever transgression you do, whatever bad crap you get up to in life, that is finite sin. Infinite punishment for finite sin is something that is a doctrine that can only be come up with by a malevolent God or a God that's bad at math. And so bad at math that it cannot tell the difference between finite and infinite. And in either case, a malevolent God or a stupid God, they're not worth worshiping. And when I put all that together in the space of about one afternoon, I was very fortunate that all the Tetris pieces fell into place in my head in the space of one day. I walked away from the whole thing. Because if hell isn't real, there's no need for the sacrifice. If the sacrifice isn't real, there's no resurrection. If there's no resurrection, there's no Jesus. If there's no Jesus, then there's no God. If there's no God, the whole religion is pointless and it's a waste of time. I don't know if that's helpful to you at all, but I hope that it's helpful to you or to someone.
It's got to be
what I got.
One of the things that tore it all down for me was the Apostle Paul. Is in the book of Acts, Jesus makes a personal appearance to the Apostle Paul. And if there really is an omnipotent God, an omniscient God, I meant, that knows exactly what everyone needs in order to be convinced that he is God, the fact that he doesn't make that kind of a personal appearance to everyone who needs it means that he's not interested in having everyone come to know you. And all these people that say, well, whether you go to heaven or hell is your choice. No, it's not. Because whether or not you were given enough information to believe or not was completely God's choice. And so then I ended up with the Calvinists, who say that, God is in complete control and Jesus only died for those who were predestined to go to heaven. And then I look at it and say, wait a minute. The people that are going to heaven are in the minority. Why did God create all these people that he intended from the very beginning to go to hell? This just doesn't make any sense. And so at that point, I came up with my own theology, which was that as soon as you die, you get to stand before God and change your mind. If you didn't believe before, now you have enough information. Now you can make a reasonable, intelligent choice. And at that point, then I was in a religion of one. And then when I realized that Noah's Ark couldn't happen, then even that fell down.
Well, here's something he was my light bulb moment. Okay, so let's go back to Genesis. So God creates Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve don't know right from wrong. They don't know sin. They have no idea what it is. They're told not to eat from the tree. They don't know that it's wrong to disobey God. Because if they did, well, then they've already got that knowledge, which would nullify eating from the tree. So they've eaten from the tree. They didn't know it was wrong, but they're going to be punished for what they didn't know. It's like punishing a baby for getting a crayon and doing that on the wall because you left the crayon lying where a baby could reach it. You certainly wouldn't then go and punish that baby and all their descendants for all of eternity and cast them out. So if Adam and Eve didn't happen and there was no need for that original, and that original sin wasn't actually a sin, well, then what did Jesus need to die for? It's almost as if it was all made up. Crazy, I know. But look, it's and the evidence for, I mean, we know the Earth's not 6,000 years old. That's a fact. I don't, it's not a belief. It's a fact. The Earth is not 6,000 years old. So therefore, the narrative of Adam and Eve can't be correct. Therefore, the Bible can't be correct. I know some people say, "Oh, it's possible there could be a God." I just haven't seen the evidence. I'm happy to go out on a limb and say there is no God, and certainly there is no God of the Christian Bible. The Christian Bible is false, and it's proven to be false. It proves itself to be false. It's a God, an all-knowing God who creates people, knowing exactly what's going to happen in their life, just so he can send them to hell. I mean, that's a sick individual. If that God was true, I mean, there's nothing you can do. I mean, it's a sick, sadistic creature. So you know what? Enjoy the life you've got here now. Don't worry about what's going to come next.
And that's exactly the point that I make, and that's why I chose my motto at the end of all my videos: live your life.
Absolutely.
Don't try to spend your life trying to pursue some unknowable God. Just live the one you've got.
Yep. So did we get the knowledge of good and evil from eating fruit from the tree, or was it written on our hearts at the same time that God didn't? Well, the Bible's pretty clear that they didn't know right from wrong. So, to say it was written on their heart, even if it was written on their heart, they can't discern what's right and wrong because they've got no knowledge of it. So, once again,
Vice Rhino does a really good analogy with that, with leaving a bag of candy in front of a 3-year-old, telling the 3-year-old don't eat candy, and then leaving him alone with the bag of candy.
Oh yes. I have a 3-year-old. I know exactly what happens there. I can guarantee what's going to happen, and that candy's gone, and then they'll deny it afterwards.
The other thing that I find so ridiculous about the whole fall story is, supposedly there was no death prior to the fall. Well, the digestive process is death. There's death to the plant if you eat it, which means the fall had to have happened so fast that no one, not only not the people, but none of the animals could have eaten anything before the fall.
Very true. Very true. Can't argue with that. And Ricardo, you're right. Pastor Taylor will probably disagree with me, but Pastor Taylor, the discussions I've had with him so far are respectful, and I'm happy to have that conversation with him. He seems like a nice guy. He actually seems like a nice guy. He seems like the kind of guy I'd probably have a beer with and get along very well with. We're just going to disagree on a few things and have an interesting conversation on the way.
Well, I was beginning to wonder if this whole thing was worth it, and I think it was. And I think I really want to thank Roberto for coming, because Roberto, you made this whole show worth it.
Absolutely.
We had a good conversation, we were having a good time, but when you showed up, now we had more, we had a purpose, and I hope that we were able to do something to help you a little bit, and I hope that that you can feel better about who you are, and that you are loved for who you are, And if you get that out of this, everything here is going to be all have been worth it.
Absolutely, and please do reach out. I mean, I'm very genuine, and even if it's not to me, to anyone here who you think you might get along with, or you might connect with, please reach out, because we do want to be here for you. We don't want you to be alone. I know that Peru is a very religious country, but the world isn't a very religious world anymore, and you're not alone. So please reach out. We want to know that you're okay, if nothing else.
Yes, definitely. Okay, we've been at this for almost 90 minutes now, so I think what we'll do is let
Time flies when you're having fun.
Fly, huh? So I think what we'll do is let everyone shill for themselves for a minute or two and say goodbye, and then we'll sign off. Chris, we'll let you start.
I feel like I've been shilling a little bit already, so I've been cheating. I was talking about cheating earlier. Look, my channel is Atheist Pastor / Hereticals. If you search Atheist Pastor, that's probably the easiest way to find it. You can find me on Twitter at atheist_pastor. Every Friday night, my time, which is Friday morning for those of you on the funny side of the planet, we have what's called Friday Night Six Pack, which is the theory behind Friday Night Six Pack is we tackle a serious topic while having a couple of drinks and having a bit of a laugh. It's sort of like sitting around what we call in Australia talking shit while we're having a couple of drinks about serious sort of solving the world's problems. This week's going to be really cool. I've actually got Jen Aldrich is going to be on. Again, we've got Susan from Divine Disbelief, Jen from Jen's Little Corner, Jay from the Nevermore Tavern, and Vagrant Sam. Plus myself, of course, so sitting around and solving all of the world's problems. Tonight, my time, I'm having a chat with a fellow called Richard Marsden, who, I can't believe this, but I'm actually going to be defending the New Testament, because he's a Christian who believes that it was aliens. So,
alien overlords!
Yes, he's got some interesting kind of thoughts on that, but he's a nice guy, and because I've got the background in history, I like to kind of have the conversation and correct him on a lot of things. So that's tonight, and then we have conspiracies every Wednesday night, which is once again Wednesday morning for those of you in the States, which is where Bobby, Mac, and Jay get together. And next week they're going to be looking at videos about the moon landing being a fake. So, but if you want to go back, last night's one was on the New World Order, which was a really cool conversation. It was like insanely cool. But yeah, so that's what's happening on my channel. But what I always say to people is, if you're in religion or you're just out of religion and you need advice, you need help, that's what I'm here for. I guess, as atheist pastor, I guess I may as well use my pastoring skills that I was trained in to help the atheist community. But even if you are someone who is in religion and you want to convert me, hey, I'm here, I'm open, I love to have a chat. So that's me.
Okay. Junkshop?
Well, I'm Junkshop Library on all the various social media. I've got my YouTube channel, which we routinely do our atheist Bible study on Mondays and Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Central, whatever time that is for wherever you are in the world. And at 2 p.m. Central tomorrow, which I happen to know is 8 p.m. UK time, I'll be on David Worley's channel being interviewed. Inordinately excited about that. And then my wife, Julie LaVoice, and I have a sort of migrating stream that happens at some time on Thursdays. So we'll have that tomorrow, where we tag team a subject, whatever happens to be on our minds that week.
Okay, very good. And I'm Godless Granny. And I have a new video coming out. When should I premiere it, Junkshop? What's a convenient time for most people?
I found a good time is anywhere between like 10 and 2 in our time zone, somewhere in that block.
All right, I'll do it I'll do it sometime on Friday then. And I'll put up an announcement on Twitter. And I haven't decided what I'm going to do next week for sure. One thing I'm thinking about is there's an article that AIG posted on transgender that I originally was going to cover in my last transgender video, but it got so long. It was already 35 minutes long, and I hadn't even started on that article. There were 2 articles that were posted back to back. And I finished the first one and thought, goodness gracious, I don't have time to do the second one. And then I was going to just leave the second one go, but they reposted that second one today. And I said, well, maybe I will go after that one. I don't know. So I might do that.
Actually,
yes.
sorry, you've just reminded me of something, and there's going to be a lot of people who will yell at me for not mentioning this. This Saturday, so it's 9:30 my time, which is 7:30 a.m. for Eastern Standard Time in the US. It's going to run for a few hours. We have the Roast of Ken Ham. So it's Australia's national apology to America for Ken, but it's the Roast of Ken Ham. I've got some content creators who have sent through some stuff that they've created. And anyone who is a content creator who wants to contribute, it's an open invite. So if both of you are free, come along and come and talk about the wonder that is Ken.
I've got a bunch of videos that I've done refuting stuff from AIG, and I've wondered what I should send you. I was thinking about sending you my one on his Creation Museum preview for the preview of the new section that they're going to open up on abortion. And if you watch the video that I did, what's
that got to do with Noah's Ark?
It's a consequence of the fall.
Yep. But anyway, one of the things that I show in the very beginning of the video is I play his entire video at 25 times speed to show that in the entire video, there isn't a single woman. This whole thing is on abortion, and there are no women at all.
Except for the cartoon.
Well, actually, except for there's one place where they have some drawings of potential that are supposed to be people coming to the museum. There's a couple women in the drawing, and then on the table of resources, there's a picture of a woman on 2 of the things on the table, and that's it. That's the entire.
It's good to see that AIG, they've got their integrity there. Well, look, anything you've got, what I'm saying to anyone who's a creator, anything sort of around about sort of that 3-minute mark is the ideal time, because we're going to try and get as many up as we can. Send it through and come along and just jump on, because we're going to be rotating people in and out, because we really want Ken to feel the love.
Okay.
So,
very good.
And it'll go for a few hours. So even if you can't make it at the start, just come along at some point. We love you, Hammy.
And then the last thing I wanted to plug is, I've started doing some live streams, and I've been doing a live stream. I've frequently been doing them on Tuesdays. Obviously, I did this one on a Wednesday, just for a little bit of variety. And I'm enjoying doing this. And so I will probably just be doing live streams in the evenings on either Tuesdays or Wednesdays at random when I think of what I want to do something on. Okay, very good. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Junkshop. Thank you to everyone in the chat who came, and have a good evening. Bye-bye.
See you all.
Bye now.